Okay, so welcome to our first AdoptOpenJDK Hangout on YouTube. Today's date is the 22nd of September. Today we've got myself, George Adams, we've got Ed Vilmetti, Enrique, we've got Marnie, we've got Martine, Stuart, and Tim. So I don't know who wants to start going through the agenda, but I don't know, was there anything you wanted to have to say about first, Martine?
Yeah, I guess we just to start with want to cover off the JCK work. So we finally got access to the JCK and we've put it into a private repo, which is fantastic. So I guess that's probably the last quality barrier we need to pass before we take the warning label off our site and we actually start advertising AdoptOpenJDK to the world properly, which would be very timely given Java 1 coming up soon. And
still a bit of work to do to actually pass the JCK, but yeah,
unfortunately so.
Done this side of Java 1, that would be ideal.
That would be pretty amazing. So I guess that should be the focus for the project going forwards. And then I know Enrique has also got a really good start to a new homepage design, which again would be great timing if we can get that all in place in and around the Java 1 timeframe.
Yeah, definitely. I know, Stuart, you were saying that you have a few local Jenkins that run jobs that you split into suites. So it'd be good, obviously, to start trying to migrate them across to our CI. Now that we confirm the permissions are working okay. So obviously it's just a case of then getting some machines set up, which I think Tim is trying to sort at the moment. So hopefully it won't be too long before we get some progress on that.
So the intention would be that we focus on Linux, Intel, 64-bit to begin with. And if we all double down on that and take a squint at any issues that we see raised by the JCK tests, then we should all jump on those just on that one platform before we go nuts and start rolling it out to more platforms and more versions of Java.
Sounds good.
Yep, completely agree. And I'm not sure what the current general testing statuses of our Linux Intel x64. I don't know if there's some outstanding issues that Shelley and Sphere have raised. I think that we do have some open issues on our regular tests as well, which then assumes we'll fail similar tests under the JCK.
So are Shelley and Sophia raising those? Where are they raising those issues? Which repo are they raising them in? I haven't seen many that are kind of flagged up as test failures.
I think they're in the test AdoptOpenJDK. Let me just have a look. Oh,
they're raising them again. Okay, I wouldn't expect to see them there. I thought they would be issues of the tests themselves as opposed to issues that they see for.
Yeah, I think some of them are still environmental.
Yeah, I think
that's fair enough. I mean, the infrastructure, the environmental problems, as I say, any issues actually running tests, I would see to the right place. But if they actually find some defects in the code, or things that we have built incorrectly, hopefully they should get raised against the code repository.
Yeah, so I think no, they have been raised against the main OpenJDK tests repo at this stage.
All right.
So there's a whole bunch of failures around security, which probably is related to some sort of infrastructure piece, and there's a few SIGSEV crashes and things like that. So I think at this stage they're struggling to figure out whether they were genuine code issues or whether they were just missing some infrastructure bits and pieces. But all the ones around security, to me, sound like we're missing an infrastructure piece.
All right.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, so if we go back to the agenda then, so the first thing is the website UI design, which I know obviously Enrique is very keen to show off. So I don't know, for those that haven't already seen it, is currently on the staging website, so staging.adoptOpenJDK.net. So yeah, I know we've all got a few opinions on the new layout, so it'd be interesting to see what everyone thinks.
Yeah, just a couple of words about the rationale, I guess, is when we started off, we just had one big blue button that said, come and pick a download. And we would try to guess what platform you were on by looking at the browser information and present you with the best, most likely download you'll be taking. Since then, we've moved to be building Java 8 and Java 9. Got a bunch of other platforms, and of course, we've now got another JVM variant as well. And so the home pages are a little bit more cluttered in terms of how do you select what it is that you want to download. But in my mind, kind of worse than that almost, is that it assumes that you know what you're looking for. And so, the discussions that we had with Enrique and folks was, rather than presenting people with a long list of different VM options and not giving anybody guidance as to what the difference is between these things and when one's more appropriate than another, it would be better if we had like a product advisor type approach, which is that you come to the website, you tell us what it is you intend to use the VM for, and then we will offer the most appropriate one for you to use. And so that was kind of the intent here. Now, I agree the prototype that's on staging at the moment is a good first approximation, but I think it requires something a bit more of a friendly design to make it much more consumable. And once we have that information, ultimately we can then start to change our decision as to which VMs we offer people as they come through. And of course, there should always be an option for people that know what they want and can get to nightly builds or specific build numbers or particular combinations of technology. But I'm hoping that AdoptOpenJDK is something of a portal for people who want just to get a good quality Java implementation. And they're not going to know or potentially care about whether it's OpenJDK class libraries with the hotspot VM, with the J9 VM, with an Azul Zulu build, all the different sort of combinations that we've got and different versions of Java. They just want to know, give me a Java implementation, please, and we kind of figure out which one's the best for them. So that's kind of the motivation behind it.
Yeah, I think the motivation makes perfect sense. But before we get into detail, is someone actually taking notes?
We're recording it.
I'll just take some notes here locally about things we agree on something with regards to the changes, and I can raise those issues for Enrique.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm open to any suggestions.
People.
If you guys have any.
I kind of agree with where Tim comes from, and I think you combined both the pathways in what you said, and I agree with both. So you could have one which is more user friendly and caters to the most users, I would think, and then we could have the one that we currently show for the ones who know what they want, like the more developer tech-driven, more OpenJDK friendly people, or the ones who know more about OpenJDK. So we cater to 80-20, and we remove away the complexity for the general public.
Yep.
And we can have like an advanced button, just like we have an advanced button in many applications, but not advanced button, but like more deep dive where everything is broken down into compilers and online compilers and this VM and that VM and this platform, and that is for people like us, mainly like us, who know what we want, and we don't need to go through that other page. So we have both of them, and it'll cater to both kinds. But I think growing in time to come, I think the other crowd will grow quicker than the tech crowd, which is only going to be 20%.
Yeah, so we did a kind of bit of brainstorming and said, well, at one end of the scale, you've got the guy who just wants to run Minecraft, and he just needs Java to do that, and doesn't know, anything about Java other than the fact it's required to run this particular application. And so we need to guide that person. And at the other end of the scale, you've got, I guess, somebody who's an OpenJDK developer who needs a specific build version identifier so that they can track down a particular problem when it was introduced. Then along the continuum, there'll be people who are running cloud services who know about the characteristics of Java, and there'll be other people who want, either the bleeding edge development stream, please, because I'm prepared to live on that, or they just want the latest stable stream, whatever we decide that is, And so I can picture in my mind's eye how we kind of ask those questions, so we're guiding people towards a particular build that's available from Adopt. The question is how to actually depict that on the website and make sure it's not onerous, but rather it's a very sort of friendly interface for people to get hold of that information. Yeah.
So I think for me, with the new design as it currently stands, it now means the page is a little bit too busy with too many options. So I did have a couple of quick suggestions on how to lighten the load. So I think the bit we have at the top where we say pre-built OpenJDK binaries with a bit of a blurb about what these things are is probably something we can remove entirely and shift to an about or more info or something like that off to the side somewhere. I don't know how people would feel about that.
So yeah, I was thinking about that actually. I didn't comment it, but I was planning on just removing it.
Yep.
Would anyone else have any objections to that being removed?
The only reason I think it's there at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, is because it's the Google sublink reference. I think that's why we added it, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Do we mean the blurb and the title, or just the title?
Just the pre-built OpenJDK binary bits on the homepage.
Oh, I see what you mean, George. So you want to keep the pre-built OpenJDK binaries title for SEO purposes, but the blurb.
Assess the height, the HTML there, so Google would understand it. But whether I'm just checking whether that was actually there for some metadata purpose or whether it was there.
It was partially there for for metadata wise and for SEO. If we had something else there, that's fine. It's just that having an H1 element right at the top of the homepage is useful. I think that's what we were advised. What you can't.
CSS, because I mean the bots can then still see the H1, right?
Sorry, if what? I missed the first bit.
If you were to disable that sort of title in CSS, it would still be in the HTML, so the bot. That's kind of blacklist type stuff from Google's point of view. I think is what we found out. So if you have an H1 there but it's hidden, then that's against the rules. Yeah, sadly. So, but we can have any H1 there just as long as it's there somewhere, even if it's a bit smaller. It doesn't matter.
So possibly we could keep the title or combine the title of OpenJDK binaries. What kind of user are you? But perhaps remove the 3 lines of actual text to give us some space back.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I'll just make that. So combine 2 titles and remove 3 lines of text. I think that would reduce one chunk of stuff.
The other thing I was suggesting, of course, is I don't know who's actually got the staging site open, but for the second row of icons for the developer row, where you have the admin, the clouds, and Java developers, I suggested that we perhaps made them smaller so that it became more like a subsection rather than another sort of full section. It looks a little bit confusing when that opens up. I don't know if people agree with that.
Yeah, I agree on that, because maybe it would look better on like tablets and phones, because right now we're not really sure about if they're going to search on this website on a tablet. But if you look on a tablet now, the icons are way too big. So if we reduce them, that would help them a little bit.
Okay, sounds good. I had another question under user. This is sort of a general project level question. Are we anticipating actually getting end users to download a JDK or just a JRE, which is currently something don't build standalone?
Yeah, well, you'd expect it to be a JRE for Java 8, of course. And Java 9, we can even be a bit more ambitious as to which modules we want to include in a particular customized runtime, perhaps. But yeah, given that we're not producing them at the moment, that would obviously require us to do that and put that into a releases directory.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a note of that, because that's something we should do. Because I don't think, I mean, if we are aiming, if it is purely for end users, we shouldn't really be giving them JDKs, should we?
Yep.
Thanks.
I'm kind of expecting on these icons as I go over them that the help text or the kind of description of what a user is and what a power user is would be almost like a hover help as opposed to extra sentence that appears when you click on it.
Okay, that could be added easily.
You know what I mean? It only highlights and goes to the next level when you actually click on it, and it'd be nice if you just hovered over it. Okay.
It also, as Joe mentioned to me, the wording of the phrases could be changed to a better wording. I don't know. I'm not the best person to do that.
Yeah. So the Java version, I think, is.
Yeah, the Java version.
Yeah, so I'm happy to, once we settle on a base PR, I'm happy to go in afterwards and alter the wording.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So marking to change wording after first PR goes in.
Enrique, have we already gone through? Sorry about the late joining, by the way. And hey, everybody. Have we already gone through the other feedback that I gave you, Enrique? Or
yeah, I was already changing the icons. I haven't done in the PR yet. So what Joe said was change the resolution of the icons to a higher resolution. So on the Retina display, they will show nicer, right?
Yeah. So that was the first thing, and then
the little logo. The logo and developers of application is too similar to the Apple one, so I found a different one. I don't know if I have it right now, so you can change it.
Okay, and finally the first three that you see.
The same color. Yeah.
Yeah, either the same color or I mean, the first thing I thought of just as we can do it either way. I like the idea of the yellow central one, the developer. That's quite cool. I think that works with the color scheme. Alternatively, if I'd have just been going at it from scratch, what I probably would have done is have a circle that matches the color of the blue header and footer, and then in that have like a thin 2D style drawing that is gray. So it's like it still retains the gray and blue theme, and then just have that consistent throughout. So if you're able to get like a monochrome designs, then you could change them to whatever color you want and make sure that they always match the color scheme. That would probably be what I would have first thought of, but I don't have an objection to the yellow with the for example the yellow developer one. I think that's quite cool as well. So I don't know, past that I'll leave it up to everybody else.
I do quite like that idea, to be fair. I mean, I know, Tim, I remember you mentioned at some point that we could perhaps go on a hunt and actually just grab some icons from an actual website rather than finding a sort of open source one and sort of have to keep through them for days and days to find the right one. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're prepared to do that, then we'd probably go and find something just like that and then format it in the way we say. That would be quite nice to keep the integrity and the colour scheme that we've already got going, so people can recognise it.
It's just the consistency.
Yeah. If we need a couple of quid for decent icons, I'm sure we can run to that. So just to go through these, when you click on user, it takes you to a particular download link. That's fine. When you go to developer, I think there's probably too many options there. I'm not quite sure how we're going to use all of those different things. And it's somewhat interesting from an analytics perspective, and so we can kind of find out who our developer audience are. I suspect many of these different choices will now end up sending you to the same download. So, we should probably think about whether we need 5 different paths underneath developer.
Yeah, I just need a list of which user suits which JRE or whatever we want to give them, so that I can attribute each version to what user.
Yeah. I think, I can understand the intent that a system admin would be somebody that's installing this on a server machine in a machine room somewhere, and a VM on a cloud would be something that's going to get forked and have multiple instances running simultaneously on relatively restricted hardware. And then we've got people who are developing Java code, people who are developing JDK itself, OpenJDK developer, and an application writer being somebody who's, well, maybe that's the same as a Java developer, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Java developer and application writer are probably more or less the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of overlaps.
Yeah, it just feels like there's a few too many options there, and we can probably expand on it later if we find that there are more options in terms of where we want to direct people into for the download that they get. But Don't want to go too mad on it.
Yeah, because at the moment, the way we're producing binaries, there's going to be no difference between the type of binary that a system administrator or a VM administrator would download either. Right? I mean, the only binaries we might offer or point people to is a pre-built Docker container with Java in it. So that would be more your container on cloud or your container.
Yeah. So let's think about what the right names are for that next level down for developer. You can perhaps do that offline as well.
Offline as well. Okay. So discuss developer subtypes offline.
And then for power user, I'd actually expect, as soon as I click on that icon, I'd like to go straight to the archive, to be honest, because I don't see the value of going to.
It was just, for example, if by mistake you click the power user, it takes you straight to the archive. The user doesn't want this.
And you weren't a power user, and you shouldn't have clicked it by mistake.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know.
The back button should work too. So.
Yeah, no, I understand where Enrique is coming from there, actually, because you want consistency in your user experience. So
yeah,
if it's currently a 2-click process to get to a download section, then that should probably be repeated everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think as a power user, you can probably follow 2 clicks. Probably not going to be that hard to trace it through.
I don't know. Power user, every click counts, you know.
I can see Tim sitting there in frustration every day going, I had to do a second
Not another click. There goes my RSI today. Yeah.
It's big experience.
All right. But anyway, I think it's a good approach, Enrique. I think we're heading in that direction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to give us the broadness that we want in terms of our market adoption.
You'll have the power users complain that their keyboard shortcuts don't work on our site. You want to think about that now.
Should be hitting Control P.
My Vim bindings are not working on your website. Sorry, I cannot download it into whatever. I don't know.
Pull requests are welcome. So I think the only other thing is to, I'd like to see whether the whole site still fits what we call above the line. Joe and Enrique know what that term means. Once we remove those extra 3 lines and tighten up some of the icons and things. But if we find people are still having to scroll vertically to see the entire homepage, and I think that's a mistake, and we probably would, in that case, need to look at the sections we have below the big blue button and see if we could consolidate some of that or even move some of those links and options elsewhere as well. Well, one, stop giving users so many options, because people should really just have one action item and one action item only. And secondly, to make sure that everything fits above the line there.
Yeah, I'd just like to touch on, we've talked about mobile and tablet as well. Now, you wouldn't expect people using those devices to be downloading JDKs. However, at this stage, at least in the project, I would expect many people to be curious about AdoptOpenJDK and be browsing the website using those devices. So in my mind, I think it's still valuable to ensure that it renders well on phones and tablets, even if we don't actually expect people to follow all the way through to download links, and that's more likely to do it on a laptop and desktop type machine.
And I know I haven't spoken to everyone here yet about it or on the OpenJDK Slack yet, but I know Johan Voss of the sort of Java mobile space and Gluon, etc., would also be quite interested in probably hosting builds here as well. For the burgeoning, true Java on mobile experience. So, eventually we could potentially have people on mobile devices downloading Java, which would be very cool.
Yep. So let's keep that going.
Yeah.
I although know that there are some sysadmin people who sometimes remotely administer their systems to smart devices. I'm not sure what the usage is, where they'll download something on their tablet and then upload something onto their server. But I don't know if that is also a small category of people who might be our users.
Actually, we have missed one thing. And so I know we've got system admin and VM on cloud under developer there. That actually does raise the interesting question of, we've got an actual API that people can download through as well. And I'm wondering how we currently advertise that or not, because the system administrators and people who are deploying VMs on cloud, that actually may be their preferable mechanism, so they can script it.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. I mean, we have a link to the API on the website, but that really is kind of the bare minimum. We don't really promote it that much at the moment.
Yeah, maybe we put a blob underneath the power user. Maybe one link is to the archives and another link is to the API descriptions.
Yeah.
It's a power user type facility, right?
Good idea, Tim.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good.
With power user. Cool. Okay. I think that's all the feedback I had. I reckon it's a fantastic idea. So thanks, Enrico, for putting this together.
Okay.
So I think we're going to ask that the PR is updated on staging. It's not quite ready for this one to be the homepage yet.
Yeah, I'll send the notes to. I'll upload the notes to the Get OpenJDK channel after this.
Yeah, clearly it doesn't have to be perfect before it does go live because we'll continue to refine it.
Yeah,
and we'll have more chance of getting feedback from people when it is the homepage.
Exactly.
When it's on staging, but it's very close, I think. It's also worth pointing out that the website took quite a number of hits when the Eclipse OpenJ9 project came out at the end of last week. So thank you, Joe, for ensuring that the website was capable of taking that sort of punishment.
I'm glad it seems to have stayed up okay. I mean, the GitHub hosting did a good job there.
It did, and you spent some time early on as well looking at the download times of the various libraries and all that kind of stuff. I recall you doing that. So, an eye to performance in the early days, I think, has also helped.
Paid off. Yeah, it's fantastic. Seeing that chart was brilliant. Yeah, I mean, how is it now, by the way? Is it gone back down to kind of 0, or is it still
nice and stable at the moment? We're still hitting about 15 to 20,000 hits a day, so it's still going quite strong.
Wow, that's huge.
So yeah, we've clearly caught the crowd, but we're still going, which is nice. Which is obviously why we're trying to roll out what we can whilst we've got everyone looking.
Yeah.
So just looking at, I've got Cloudflare up now actually, but so yesterday there were about 1,400 unique visitors.
That is quite a lot. That's good.
It's not bad, is it? At the peak, which was on Saturday, there were nearly 12,000 unique visitors.
I'm definitely going to put in a redirect URL to jclarity.com because I need this number of visitors for my startup.
I was thinking, are we thinking of monetizing this now? I know it's an open source project.
We'll start Bitcoin mining people with a hidden piece of JavaScript.
That reminds you we're live.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
There were lots of unique visitors over the last week. 28,300 unique visitors, and lots of downloads, especially for the Eclipse OpenJ9 based build. I think if you look at the raw stats, the Java 8 based build is way higher than the Java 9 based build with Hotspot, and the Eclipse J9 one has been rapidly downloaded over the last week or so. So I think
makes sense.
Getting the message out that this is a place to come and get Java, I think is really resonating with people. And we can start building our world domination plans for how we're going to enhance that, because some of the work that Dinnik has been doing with the Docker images, I'd love to be able to open a conversation with some of the distros about how we can start to engage with them to help build, because nobody competes on a build, right? We all want to get the bytes together in the right order. The contributions are all done through OpenJDK, and the thing which comes out at the end should be consistent and similar across all the different platforms. And so having a project that does that and distributes those binaries effectively through the distros, through Docker, through our own website, I think is what we're really aiming at. And whilst it's great to see lots of traffic come to this website, a lot of people will continue to get their OpenJDK builds from Docker or directly by yum installing or apt-getting from the distros as well. So as we're refining our build and we're confident in the quality of the builds that we have, I think we should be starting to open the conversation with the distros as to how they can leverage that as well and how we can pick up their ideas.
Yeah, so I think George Saab from Oracle is actually planning on holding a bit of a summit here in London the day before DevOps, Tim.
Yep.
So he's just confirming those details, and perhaps that's a good day to invite some of the top distro people along as well.
Yep. Yeah, because I know that Oracle have got some plans around building, and that's good. And they'll ever have the same sort of platform coverage that we're looking at Adopt. And I think there's certainly room for we should all be collaborating in this space rather than competing in this space, as I said earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Anything else website related before we move along? Because we know we talked about that for a while.
Just briefly, Enrique, how I can't remember when we briefly had our week together. Did you say you're okay with responsive stuff? Are you happy with that, or do you want me to help out with
Yeah, I think I'll be happy. I'll have a look at it maybe today, and then I'll let you know if I'm not happy.
Great. Okay.
Help me out.
Nice.
Brilliant. Okay. So to move things along then, next thing on the agenda is, Wikipedia. So yeah, I don't know who's actually seen the channel. I submitted the Wikipedia submission yesterday. That got rejected because the basically complained I didn't have enough references in it. So I've gone through and taken some references of our group from both the JDK Wiki and also an Oracle blog. If we've got extra references, that'd be great to put them in. But also, if we can basically just go through the proofreading what I've written, if we could go and add anything that we think maybe worth adding at some point. So I don't know if you've seen it, and if there are any improvements that we already have.
Yeah, I'm happy to try and take a look this weekend.
I'm just keen to get it sort of in a place where it's there, because obviously having a Wikipedia page is very, very useful for longer term. Having it on Google, it basically helps you get the sidebar on the right. So it goes quite well with the rest of the social WAM page that I can do. So.
Okay, I'll make a note of that.
Cool. Anything else about that before I move on? Okay, so Docker multi-platform support. I know Ed mentioned that, and obviously Tim has been pushing quite hard to get that working towards some of the IBM platforms. I don't know what the status is. I know that we have an OpenJDK Docker repo now. I'm not sure which platforms and OSs that currently support. Tim, you could put me in there.
So that just contains the one that Steve Poole did a while ago. So I believe it's just got the Ubuntu-based image on there. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Dinnaker has done some good work in getting cross-architecture Docker file up into that new repo for us. And he's the guy that's done the IBM JDK's Docker images as well. So I have high level of confidence that that it's going to be the sort of thing that we need because it was, as I say, experience of having done a similar thing before. So then I think he had a couple of questions as to how to integrate that into the architecture's metadata in Docker Hub itself. My inclination is to let Dinnaker define how that works, because I trust his superior knowledge in that space. But if anybody else has got any bright ideas, you should engage on that issue with him. And the sooner we get that out, the better.
Definitely. I know, obviously, Ed, you're quite keen to get the ARM ones in, because obviously it'd be nice to get people on works on ARM pointing to that Docker when it's going. So hopefully it won't be that long before we have some basic thing that we can send you.
Yeah, so the multi-architecture support came out really net last week. I did the sort of brief sweep of all of the official images, and it's about somewhere between a quarter and a third have both ARM and Power and Z support. So that's looking good across all of Docker. And then the question is just how to integrate it. It sounds like you've got the expert on tap there, how to integrate it into the Docker build so that routinely all the architectures are supported for that. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it's a small step away now. I think we just need to define the metadata to Docker Hub and to integrate it into the Jenkins farm so that it's continually being pushed as part of our release. So it's not a big deal.
Yep. So Phil Estes from IBM led up the Docker multi-arch card. So,
yep.
And there's some sample code that I've seen. So it looks like a small matter of programming.
Brilliant. Okay, well, it'll be good to get that going soon then, hopefully. Anything else about that? You happy? Good. The next thing I noticed was, I'm not sure, some of you may be familiar with it, but I noticed going through some of the Twitter mention history a while ago that we've been mentioned by a project called Jabber, and they are a Java version manager sort of inspired by No Version Manager. And one of the key things that they currently support is AdoptOpenJDK, so you can fetch using the API and it will install it in Java Home. So it's quite a nice way for you, I think you do JVM install AdoptOpenJDK at version distro or something. So that was quite an interesting project, and one of the key things I noticed was it was actually owned by a person that seems to be up for adoption. It's kind of hoping to land it somewhere that's got some, a bit more backing and perhaps integration path to test it. So I'm not sure where we really stand on that, but I thought now that we're starting to get quite a nice build file, we should perhaps look at picking up a few other projects if they're around and they kind of fit under the ecosystem that we kind of provide. I'm not sure if we can follow up.
Yeah, there's also SDK Man, which is another very popular way for people to manage multiple Java binaries, etc. So there's quite a few little tools out there like that, actually. So I think we could start bringing them all on board once we've got our own shop in order, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, the obvious thing next was just basically an FYI, really. I've gone and converted, well, we have the AdoptOpenJDK admin Gmail account, and I've essentially gone and created what's called a Google brand account, which, as you can see, I'm currently using to host the call. The idea behind it is that you basically just go and fill in all the information. It's quite a new thing. You fill in all your website information and social stats and stuff. And the idea is not only is it a landing place that can host all your Google products, things like tools, and you can have a separate Google Plus page and stuff. But it also helps with the SEO ranking and stuff like that. So that's basically why I went to set it up. Currently, it's only being administered by the AdoptOpenJDK admin group, but you can go and basically add any email account to the list as a user or admin.
Isn't that similar to the Gmail account we have, Martijn? I think we do have an AdoptOpenJDK account, isn't it?
We have an AdoptOpenJDK user account, so the AdoptOpenJDK admin account. I don't know if we have another one. I know AdoptOpenJDK@gmail.com is a user account rather than a brand account.
So I didn't quite gather what a brand account is there, George. Sorry.
It's essentially about having it's more.
Do you have multiple users associated with that one account? Or?
So yes, the idea is that you have almost like an organization rather than a single user.
All right.
So you can go and post things and you can post all the tools and stuff like that.
Okay. So the intention so you've created that already, and the intention is to add some people to that brand account?
Yes, so that people can go in and host calls like this. They'll also be able to post on, I think we have a custom Google Plus page, so we can technically go and share updates through that as well. It's not very, very exciting. It just kind of adds to the pool of social media that we're already using. So I thought it was worth adding.
Okay.
And then, if no one's got anything else about that, on a similar note, Twitter. Probably everyone saw I've gone and submitted the verification request for Twitter. I'm quite hopeful. I've noticed that Google has now indexed our Twitter account, which is generally a good sign that it's about time. So I know, obviously, I've discussed with Martin before about adding two-factor authentication, and we were concerned about whether that meant that you then weren't able to, sort of, any old user could log in because it would have to go through the mobile phone. But what I've been looking into is perhaps adding TweetDeck to the mix. So essentially what TweetDeck does is you have like a brand Twitter account such as AdoptOpenJDK, and you can go in and add basically authors that can go and write tweets on behalf of AdoptOpenJDK. And the idea is that you have an audit.
So I have a confession to make. I've already added myself to the AdoptOpenJDK, so I'm running TweetDeck myself.
Okay.
Will be, yeah, and have been posting some AdoptOpenJDK tweets directly from.
And tell me how it works.
It works. Yeah.
Yeah, it works well. Okay, that's good. So perhaps the only thing we should do is go through and work out who should get access, and perhaps have a way of requesting access for users to go in and tweet on behalf of the team. So if we're happy and that's working, then I think, unless you object, Martin, should we go and enable to two-factor authentication?
Silence means no objection unless he's fallen out of the connection.
Yeah, you might have lost. We can't hear you, Martin. I don't know if you can hear us. Okay, we'll chase him up on that anyway. There's not much left on the agenda. The only other real thing is obviously the TSC. A couple of months ago, we kind of started putting that together, and it kind of fell a little bit quiet. I'm only really bringing it up because perhaps it's time that we start looking at sort of putting that back together. It'd be good to get something in place so that we can have regular calls like this. And obviously, it's more to discuss things at an organisation level rather than sort of a task level. But it'd be quite, I think, it'd be quite a valuable thing to add to the organisation. So unless people object, I think we should perhaps go through and start electing the initial TSC board, and then work from there. Okay. And then the only other thing on the agenda, because Martin's already discussed JCK, is cleaning up the OpenJDK 9 binaries. I'm not sure if you sort of caught up with that one, Marnie, because I know that you posted a question about that. I haven't really looked to see if you responded.
Yeah, it's on my list. So I understand we need to update our scripts that do that for JDK 9 builds.
Yeah.
But do we have to do any manual interventions like clean up the Jenkins instances, or is that something that's done automatically?
That's all automated. It's basically just about going and removing. I mean, you have massive log files and stuff in the JDK that you don't really need, and there's a few other quirky bits. And obviously, it's quite quickly adding up now that we're publishing 180 megabyte binaries with both JDK 9 and OpenJ9. So it'd be good to get that in a position where they're a little bit smaller. I'm not sure how small we can go, but obviously, say with OpenJDK 8, I think we're about 89 megabytes. So it'd be good to try and get a little bit nearer that.
So this is
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah. Just take a look at the artifacts that are produced by the build and which ones should be in the final distribution, which ones shouldn't be in there, because they're just part of the build process. So.
Yeah, that's more expensive log files.
So 8 and 9 are kind of producing slightly different artifacts now, isn't it? Because of the build process.
Yeah,
because we're using the same script.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about J9? Sorry, Tim, I interrupted you.
Sorry.
J9 is again the same story. I mean, we haven't officially landed the J9 PR. But yes, I mean, I think, to be fair, the J9 artifacts come out in pretty much the same way as the JDK9 ones when I looked.
Yeah.
I imagine there's possibly a few little differences, but I think the general sort of build process and logging output goes to the same place.
Okay, I shall have a look at that. Hopefully, it'll also help J9. Otherwise, we'll have to handle J9 maybe slightly differently. Yeah. We'll come to it when we cross that bridge.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Cool. All right, no worries. I just also was wondering, that also applies to the Docker builds as well, right? Because this script gets executed in the Docker instance as well, or do you want to handle the Docker ones separately or differently?
Yeah, the Docker ones come out the same build for SH.
Okay.
It'll just flow through to Docker, no objection.
Sounds good. All right. I'll get back to you guys when I'm done with it.
Brilliant. So Martin's back. So that's pretty much the end of the agenda. Is there anything else that anyone had that was pressing that you wanted to bring up?
So we don't link anywhere on the website to the test results or anything which indicates what the quality levels are. Are people happy with that? Or do we just kind of assume that if it's on the website, then it's good enough? Because I would expect, as a minimum, that the list of nightly builds that we have has got a link through to the tests that that nightly build has undergone and any issues which arise from it. I still kind of struggle a little bit to correlate between the downloads and what's happening on the build farm in terms of testing.
Well, I know obviously the JT-Reg one produce HTML files, so we could always go and dump those into a web service somewhere and link them to nightlies. I'm not sure what other outputs we get. Shelley's probably slightly better answer.
Yeah, it's nice to say on the on the nightly archives, everything that appears here has passed this level of testing, and just be able to quote for that, and then show the results of any additional testing that's taken place where there may still be some issues which need to be resolved. Anything which is in the releases directory has passed this level of testing, and have a real that kind of quality statement on the website so people understand what it means to be in those various download areas. And obviously the ultimate one that we're going to make a bigger deal about is the JCK level of testing and the fact that it's passed those. But at each of those stages, I think it should be possible for people to see what that binary has actually achieved. And then I guess on a related note, we've seen some pull requests for the Java code itself, and I was expecting those pull requests to undergo some sanity checks, and I don't think that happened, did it? Because I'm thinking in particular the AIX version numbering.
Yep.
Somebody issued a patch pull request for that, and I didn't see any testing being taken on that for that.
Okay. I think I think from what I saw on that, we're waiting to see if they can land it upstream straight away. Otherwise, we'll look at bringing it into us. I mean, I'm happy to run some tests and make sure it works.
Sure, I just thought there would be an automated pull request builder that would do that. Isn't that the plan?
All wrong, Tim.
All right.
You clearly need one.
Actually, to add to that, Tim, I don't know how much more work it is, but when we did the builds on CloudBees, we were able to also generate test coverage.
Yeah.
And that would kind of scan, and there is means to do that using tools that have been open sourced by the OpenJDK team. And I'm happy to work with Shelley and the test team to get that in place, because there are some bits and pieces of configuration you put in place, and then it kind of generates a Jakalko report. And that would be interesting as well. I don't know how accurate it will be, but we can work on the accuracy, but that'll be a good one to get started as well, in addition to just showing the test reports as well. Yep. So that's another thing we might want to put on the list of things we want to look at in the coming future.
Yeah, I'm just very aware that we've got lots of testing work going on, got lots of building and distribution work going on. They should just be a little bit more integrated in my mind, so that we can...
Sure. So like for every build, whatever tests run, or if we even trigger a test run for that build, and then see the results of the test run, and maybe the next step would be to see the code coverage for that.
Right.
For that, yeah. I would say that's it. And one more thing I wanted to add is like task distribution. I know I've been saying, yeah, I want to pick up some tasks, and then nothing gets assigned to me. Of course, when it starts getting assigned to me, I start chasing it, because that becomes easier. So maybe to get the load off the test team, they could break up some tasks and assign them to a couple of people or a single person. That way, we can distribute the work across the board.
Okay, so I think the working model today has been people go and take tasks rather than have them assigned to them. Obviously, people have got different amounts of spare time to work on it in different skills in different areas. So if you see something which is up your street, then just go and grab it.
Okay, that's great. That's good as well. That works.
If somebody has it assigned to them and it's not progressing, then put a comment in saying that you're willing to take it over.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I'm looking through the OpenJDK test project board at the moment, and there's about 24 issues in the backlog. So there's probably always something that we can go and pick up. I'm not sure if some of those are in action, they just haven't been in action, but that's quite a large number issues in the backlog. So yeah, definitely we should go and fix some of those up.
Yeah, I think the main ones that could do with your expertise actually, man, are sort of the semi-infrastructure ones, right? So most of the security tests are failing on even the common Linux build, and that's probably because that Linux build is missing some important native library or some piece of config which JT expects to be there for all the security-related tests.
Yeah, I could have a look.
There's a top 3 things that we know how to fix and don't have machine or permissions to go on machines and fix them. So it's 3 machine configuration issue things that would, if they were fixed, cause a lot of tests to start passing. The security one is one of the top 3.
Have they been tagged with a machine configuration issue or some sort of a label?
I think I have done that.
No,
yes.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah, I thought I did. Yeah, no, they're labeled with the operating system of choice. So you'll see a lot of them are labeled with Linux.
You can go all the way back.
Okay, I see a lot of Linux. Yeah, so does that mean that's a Linux specific thing that's failing there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Yeah, I see. Okay, permissions bug. Okay, makes sense. That's a lot of work. So are you saying if you fix one of those, a whole group of them could go fixed, or they're all independent fixes?
I think a couple of the security issues are related and would be fixed, but the other one, the other big one is the X11 server, where that left off from what was done earlier. We have the known solution to a lot of the AWT and swing tests that no one has taken forward.
Okay.
So either one of those would be excellent to get off the list.
Okay, I'll try to pick one of them and see if that kind of helps more than one to get fixed, and then we can take it from there. And yeah, I'm a bit out of the loop with the tests part of our efforts. I've been focusing a lot more on the builds, and so yeah, I'll try to get more acquainted with this, and then I'll come back to I know who to reach out to now if I have any test related questions. You all using JTReg, or have you built your own your testing framework? How is it going with that? Because I know there were some questions from your side.
Yeah, we have turned on, so tests are all running on machines that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough test machines really for the different platforms to turn on more testing, but I guess we should clean up what we have first. The system tests have been turned on for Linux under our harness. I see that Stuart has also just turned them on directly. I think we'll want to clean that up. Reason to run all of the tests under the same approach is that we have other tools and attached to the output and to the test process and get a better view, kind of a word that we're about to release a first version of that will let you kind of look at all of in a nicer way. We run the JTReg tests, and soon we could add also Ben wanted to. All of that could be viewed kind of in a one dashboard view, should we choose. Up the tests, I also will say of the top 3, the Windows on Windows is still broken, and that's an outstanding infrastructure issue as well. I think Sophia owes you to your question, but I think the answer is that when you log in directly, you can run the tests.
Shelley, just a question. Is this Windows one a remote machine you log on to, or are you running it on your local Windows instance? I mean, when you're running the test to build it
to the Jenkins server at ci.adoptopenjdk.net.
Okay, so if I have to debug it, I can always remote log into it and start playing around with it. Okay.
Yeah, so Manny, do you have access to log into the machines?
Not all of them. They get rotated with the good security policy Tim has.
Yeah.
So I got to keep asking, and which is great. So when I need to, I will ask, and you can give me whoever can give me the access. So I'm fine with that.
I have access to the Windows machines. So
okay. I'll ping you, George, if I start working on that and if I need access.
Okay.
You'll see that for the OpenJ9 tests that we turned on, we've only turned on a subset of the JTReg tests. So those are running green because we haven't turned on the groups that we know to fail.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, let me get started acquainted with it because I think there's a lot more we can do with the JTReg than we are doing. I only saw 2 groups available in there, but I think internally the OpenJDK team might be making more use of JTReg than we are seeing in the public. But let's look at that at another stage. Let me help fix some of these other more pressing issues.
Cool.
And so to be one last thing, then, Manny, to be clear, for macOS and the x86 Linux, all of the groups are running, turned off Swing and AWT because that was generating hundreds of errors. So I think we're at 89 errors without those groups running. The hotspot included are also in that group running on the non-OpenJ9.
Sounds good. And our desire is to get those switched off groups also to run one day, right? It's not like we'll be always running it with them switched off. What is the plan with the switched off groups? I know the AWT and the GUI ones are a troublesome ones.
Yeah, I'd like to turn those back on, but we need the X11 server configuration story finished. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. Okay. All right, thanks for that info.
Cool. Anything else before we finish the call then?
No, just to mention that Oracle have declared that Java 9 build 181 is their GA version of Java 9, which is great to see. So we shall ensure that we promote that as the one that people should come and grab from AdoptOpenJDK. It'd be interesting to see if there's an uptick in the number of downloads of that particular build now that it's officially declared as GA.
Just a quick note on the localized tool for the website. I have gone over the French and Portuguese, but there's a lot of Chinese phrases that I don't speak Chinese, so if we can get someone into that, that would be great. Since we're getting hits from all over the world on Cloudflare, we should.
We've got Gibson who speaks quite fluent Chinese. I know he did a run of it a while ago, so I can chase him up and ask him to do another review.
Which Chinese would we go for? I assume we're
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Okay, cool.
Mandarin Chinese, yeah.
All right.
And we have friends at Alibaba who can help out as well.
You can help out, yeah.
Okay, that'd be good.
Actually, on that note, is it a good idea to also have something on that page that says "help us translate," something like that? We have a page that says "contribute," right, or a link.
Yeah.
But I think contribution to translation is also a contribution. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
I was kind of working on going to tweet that out to folks to ask for help. We got a couple of people, or a person inside IBM, to take a look at the localized tool and see how usable it is. Because what I wanted to avoid was people showing up and saying, "Yes, I'll help," and then us having to spend a long time explaining how the tool works. And I don't know, perhaps Enrique, you can give us your experience because you've used it more than a lot of folks.
The tool is quite straightforward,
okay.
Actually. But the problem is you need to get someone that actually speaks the language natively, because if you have someone constantly having to publish phrases that someone else has translated, you have to review them, because if they publish nonsense, then we have to review, and that those can go on the website. So the easiest is to get a few people that also know the context of working, and you can get a translator that doesn't know anything about AdoptOpenJDK or what we're doing, that because the specific keywords that only are from this community or from Java world. So we need someone that knows Java and knows the language.
Exactly, yeah. So I think rather than crowdsourcing it in general and looking for lots of people who can come and do a bit of work on it, you know, maybe putting out a call for somebody, as you say, Enrique, who's skilled in the language and understands the technology area, that we can work with as a one-on-one to come in and do it.
So Mandarin speakers on our team for the Chinese.
All right, great.
So Sophia and Renfei in particular.
Great.
Okay.
Well, we have a tool which we can give them access to an account on there, and it presents them with the English expression and asks them to compare it with the Google Translate version or to correct it if it's not the correct translation. So if they have some time to, a couple of hours to sit down with a coffee and check some phrases, that'd be really helpful.
Also, are we planning on adding other languages, or that's all the languages we're adding for now?
I think we should have German on there. If you look at where the hits come from the website.
Japan now also.
Say again?
Japan, we also have a lot of hits from Japan.
Oh, did we? Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, 3,000 or something Cloudflare. Yeah.
Right, okay, interesting.
I was alluding to also getting some help from Watson. I don't know if Watson's going to be helping us.
I don't know what's
it might be a bit more automated and free and maybe less nonsense. I don't know.
And also that's hooked into the localized tool, so we're kind of pretty much tied to that tool's capability. And I think they're just using Google Translate from what I can see.
I think it's worth pointing out that we know quite a few people that are quite high up in localized, and they're really, really open to changes. So if there are things that need improvements, then we should definitely have a call with them and let them know. We found a few bugs before, and they were quite open to them, and they made the relevant tweaks to actually fix that. So if there's something that we think is a bit clunky or isn't the most sort of intuitive, then we should definitely submit some form of request to have that changed.
Okay. So remind me later, Enrique, because we do have some guys working in Japan that we can talk to about helping out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Anything else before I go now for lunch then?
So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but maybe the core OpenJDK team might want to meet face-to-face sometime. I'm speaking for myself as well, but I would think we are meeting online quite a bit. Maybe the ones who are around London or in the UK. Is there a plan for that, or? I
definitely agree. It would make sense.
IBM.
I think it definitely makes sense to have some form of meetup. I mean, exactly who, or whether we make it open to anyone in New York, I'm not really sure. I suppose the issue is who's sort of able to just fund that, and whether companies will fund it. I imagine for the IBMers, we'd probably get funding through IBM to do that. But yeah, no, that'd be quite an interesting thing to do. We should definitely try and get together, and we should, I suppose, with conferences and stuff coming up, we should try and sit down and see if they're going to be worth trying to get some presentations for, especially locally.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are going to meet at Java One, I suspect.
Yeah.
Have you planned a launch date? Maybe that might be around the good time to say, okay, like a bunch of 5 or 6 people who've been working on this have met, and we launch on the launch day, or
we'll launch when we pass the JCK money. It's pretty much
does that mean next year sometime?
Who knows?
No.
We will all work very hard to making that JCK pass.
All right, then let's plan for the face-to-face meeting next year sometime, but at least like maybe have this conversation somewhere written down so we can do the JCK and the launch and then meet face-to-face.
Yeah,
that would be a good opportunity, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be good.
The other last question I had is it okay now to publish links to the landing website or contribution page onto mailing lists? Like I know a couple of developer mailing lists. I think Martine's also on any of them. Because I wasn't quite sure if we were going to invite people too early and then they would just be staring at the page, or we can get some help and awareness by passing this information on to the ones who don't know about the efforts that have been happening since quite a few months. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I think we're always in the market for reaching out to developers and people to come and help with the AdoptOpenJDK effort itself. I think the launch, in inverted commas, is a wider statement to the public to say, we trust and believe in these binaries, and we want you to come and download them, and we're going to stand behind the artifacts that we're producing. But in the meantime, of course, we always need people to come and help us reach that goal.
Okay, sounds good. Good to know. Thank you.
I think we've kind of been discovered on Reddit now, so I don't think we need to worry about. I think they definitely know the website exists. So yeah, I don't think we need to be too sort of careful about that now. I'd sort of just go on a bit of a social rampage and just start trying to ramp things up so that we can get a bit more coverage.
Okay, sounds good. Fine. Nice to know that.
Yeah, I'll be asking for help at this project and at OpenJ9 for testing related help at the end of my one, unless I hear that I shouldn't ask.
No, absolutely do. Absolutely do.
We should ask for all the help we can get,
Yep.
Excellent. Is it lunchtime?
All right, we're standing between George and his lunch. I think it's time to.
All right,
Yeah,
let's close down.
I've posted what I could remember of the discussions up on the issue that George raised for the tickets. So
Yeah, thank you.
people can just look that up on the OpenJDK build project.
Cool. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining.
Good discussion.
Yeah, no, we should definitely do this again. Quite a nice way of doing it. Okay.
All right. Speak to you later.
All right, guys. Thanks for holding this. Cheers. Bye.
Right.